you're my age, bro. You're the one making all this money. You're the one. How are you
Yeah.
doing this? He goes, have you ever heard of private money? And I was like, what? No? What is private money? He's like, I'm not using any of my money to do this. I was like, what? Like, that would have saved me 8 years of life. Like, what are you talking about, hard? Like, what?
Right.
I've been grinding, busting my ass, and all you know is this one simple concept that, like, let you just fast forward all that.
Welcome to the Millionaire Mentorship Podcast. We talk all things real estate business, entrepreneurship. Today, I've got an entrepreneur, a businessman who sold everything that he had to go all in on real estate. JR Hernandez, welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
So, where are you based out of, JR?
We're in San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, home of the Spurs champions. Yes, sir. That's where I'm from.
Oh, really? You guys are still touting that? Like
Oh yeah, we got the
the
number
Alamo
one
too?
draft.
You guys are still going about the Alamo?
Yeah, I know they made you read about it in elementary school. It's all in your head. Yep, they got us in there.
That's right. You know, it's funny. San Antonio, like one of the guys who was a big influence to me early on was Armando Montilago, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm talking about?
I know. Yeah, I used to do work for him.
Okay, so
I don't know if I did work for him. Back when I did construction and remodeling, tree service, I remember cutting some trees down, and he was just there like big boss.
that's
Many many years ago.
that's a good impression, man. That's exactly an Armando Montilago post. It's like I could do that. I want this whole house done for $3,000, like the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
So
He paid
tell me
me
about
good,
your
so
story.
I don't got no complaints. He paid me good.
That's good. So tell me about how you got your start where you're at right now. Sounds like you're closing deals as we're on this podcast. So I like that.
Oh yeah, we stay closing deals, man. That's what we do. We pride ourselves in being gurus, right? We don't. We're. I started this whole clutch thing and all this just to, um, because I saw a lot of fluff in the industry, all the people saying all that, and I was just like, man, sometimes you need somebody really out here closing deals, showing people how to do it, you know. So, I've been doing. What was the question? How long I've been doing it, or?
Yeah, like when did you start and when did you sell all your shit like that's on your bio? Because in your bio you're like, hey, I sold everything. I went all in on real estate. So when did that journey begin on that thing? When did the decision make that I could do better by myself versus working for the man?
Oh, that happened when I was 23, so a decade ago. That's when I decided to. I hated the job I was at. I hated my life. I hated everything. And I went on a cruise one day and I saw the world and I was like, yeah, there's more out here than this warehouse where I'm
Yeah.
just greasy all day. I worked with my dad and it was just horrible. And I decided to quit, sell everything I got. And then my goal was my dream was to build mansions. I know that's weird. I don't know where the hell that dream came from, but
I
my
don't think
dream
it's,
was
I don't
to
think
build
it's weird. I
mansions.
think it's cool, man. I think it's totally cool.
Yeah, that was my dream. So yeah, I wanted to build mansions for some reason. I was like, well, I have no skills. My parents' family didn't do construction. Nobody was really a business owner, and I had zero skills. I didn't go to college. I didn't learn anything. I didn't pick up any skills, no trades, anything. And I said, and I didn't have any money. I was dead broke, living at my mom's house.
Right.
You know, just clueless. I didn't know where I was going in life. I had no goals. I didn't have nothing going for me, man. I was just like, I'm gonna start some direction. And I said, well, you know what? Um, I calculated how much I made on my check for how many hours, and after taxes, after Social Security, after that, I was making like 80 bucks a day, right? And I was like, okay, if I could just figure out something where I can make more than 80 bucks a day, I'll be good. It's my start. So I was like,
Right.
my goal is 100 a day, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wanted to progress towards learning how to build a house, right? But no skills, no nothing. So I decided, okay, well, shit. The only thing I know how to do is cut grass, like literally. I had no skills. I started that low in the skill set, right?
Dude,
And
that's still today one of my best skills. If I had to go out into the job working place, I cut my own lawn right now. That's 11 acres. Okay,
oh dang,
so yeah, like I'm like, dude, why am I going to pay somebody $800 to cut my lawn? I'll freaking go out there, rock out, listen to some podcasts, and do it. But I cut my teeth cutting lawns at 10 years old. I had multiple lawns, so I'm with you on the skill set there, brother.
yeah. I mean, and it was the only thing that I knew how to do that I can generate today. Like I can go knock on the door and cut somebody's grass for 40, 50 bucks. I need to do two of those a day, and I was like, man, that's that's achievable. I can do that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, man. I sold my Mustang I had. It was my baby. It was a 5.0 '89 Mustang hatchback GT. I had Cobra rims, nitrous, candy red. It was so sick. It sounded like it wanted to turn off when it was idling. It was a nasty car, and it
Oh
was my
yeah.
baby, and it's all I had, man. And I decided, that's all I got. I made $5,000. Well, it was actually a crazy story. So the day before I was gonna sell it to start my first business, I dropped it
Yeah.
off at my dad's friend's mechanic to it had a little air leak, and it would like almost shut off at idle. It was like too much because it had an air leak. And I mean, it was cammed out, so it naturally was lopey, but it was like literally it was a problem. So I was like, hey man, I just want to fix this little air leak. I'll pick it up tomorrow. They're gonna come by from Houston, and so the guys come in. I'm ready to start my business. I'm like, yes, here's my money. I'm gonna go buy a truck, a trailer. I'm gonna go buy equipment, and I go to the guy's house, and my car's not there, and I'm like, oh, this ain't good. And so I'm banging on his door, and finally he comes out looking like all sad and drunk. And I'm like, yo, I know where this is going, you know? And I go, man, where's
Story's already been told.
our car, bro? And he tells me, hey, man, I fucked up. And I was like, I already knew. And I was like, where is it, bro? And he took me. And it was at a frame shop down the street, and he totaled it. And I was just like, you can imagine how I felt. I was about to start my business that day, right? And I
Yeah.
was just honestly out of breath. I was out of hope. I was out of everything. And like, you know what? It's crazy now looking back at it, because when I read stories of successful entrepreneurs, they always have a story like this, right? Like when all
Yeah.
hope is lost.
Yeah.
And I was
Right.
just like, yeah, what am I gonna do now? I gotta go back, and I don't have zero money now and no car. Like, damn.
Yeah. Right.
So like, luckily by divine grace and my mother, who was an insurance agent, she had this special antique policy on my car, and that I was paying for that I didn't even know. And it was '89, and this was in 2000 like 13 or something like that. So there's no full coverage for that, right? There's no loan
Yeah.
on it, and I was just paying, I thought, liability. And she had
Ooh.
this little antique freaking, I don't even know what the hell it was, Gap that saved
Good old mom, dude, taking care of JR.
my
So
dude.
she put like I've never heard of that policy. So this is great. So there's a policy that you can get if you have an older car to cover what it's truly worth, so that you don't get depreciated out of it. And so good old mom looked out for JR. When you went to the insurance company, you were made whole.
I guess so. I don't know what it was. Something about antique. So check this out. So I meet the. So I'm in limbo. My head's down. I'm just like
Right.
sad for, because I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Like now I gotta wait another. How long is it gonna take me to save up 5,000? Like to me that was a lot of money back then. I was
For
living check
sure.
to check.
Yeah.
I had no money. And so for like 2 weeks before the adjuster got out there, he finally met me, and I was just in shambles, right? And so I meet him out there, just feeling depressed, and he goes, wow, is this your car? I was like, yeah. He's like, this is the cleanest 5.0 I've ever seen. He happened to be a Mustang fanatic. And I was like, yeah. And he told me all about the car. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And I started telling him everything about the car. And he's like, man, this is the best shape 5.0 I've ever seen. And I told him the story, and he told me, I got you. And he cut me a check for 4,600.
Nice.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's all about relationships, man. It's all about
yeah,
relationships. You could have been a douchebag and been like, "You don't know shit about my Mustang," and then he's like, "All right, here's a check for $1,800. Good luck."
yeah. So yeah, that was crazy. So, anyways, roller coaster. So now all of a sudden I got some money, and I did what I said I was gonna do. So I bought a truck for $2,000, a single cab Ford F-150, torn interior, no air conditioner, but it worked. '98 Ford F-150 single cab. I bought a trailer for my grandpa, $500. I bought a pressure washer, a water heater for the pressure washer, and then I used my dad's lawnmower and weed eater and blower. And I went, man. I started the company. It was called Texas Services SA. I made little flyers, and I went knocking on doors all summer long.
What's the SA stand for?
San Antonio.
Okay, got it, got it, got it.
Yeah, Texas Services, San Antonio, SA. And I promoted power washing, landscaping, lawn maintenance, stuff like that. I didn't know how to do anything. Dude, I sucked so bad. I had such zero skills that I couldn't even weed eat a straight line. I was messing up people's lawns. That's how bad I was. I was like, man, I suck.
Well,
And
you
but
got
I
to start. You
better.
got to start somewhere.
Yeah, because hey, now I'm a pro. I'll do that thing. I'll flip it. With my eyes closed. I'll do designs. I'm good now. But I'll run with that thing, do a straight line. But
That's it.
anyways, so I went knocking all summer, and I had an idea, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do is my way. I'm gonna present as many cheap, affordable options for these people just to tell me yes. So I came up with this thing. Me and my brother, we would the little spraying the addresses right
Yeah.
on the curbs, but we picked all the popular sports teams in our area. So Spurs,
Mm,
Cowboys, Longhorns, A&M, Aggies,
yeah.
um, all the schools around us, and then we went to my mom's ditch and we put them on the ditch, take pictures, and put them in a little folder and like a binder to show them, like, hey, we could do this for $20, right? And then we'd upsell and hey, we could pressure wash it and do this for $100. And then hey, we could cut your grass and blah, 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 right? We keep upselling. And so we figured out how to make money, right? So boom, I'm knocking doors all summer. I'm making, we're making 300 a day, 400 a day. And then I told my brother, so like what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get these bi-weekly contracts, get them to sign. Hey, look, I'll cut your grass for 50, but if you sign this, I'll come every 2 weeks for 40, whatever, right? And so we got people to sign bi-weekly contracts. We're hustling all summer, and then at the end of the summer, I told my bro, we're gonna sell the business. Well, I was just telling everybody, I'm gonna sell the business, whatever. They're like, yeah, right, yeah, right. So I put it for like, I forgot it was like 20 grand, something like that for sale. Made money all summer, and then some boy, his dad called me and said he wanted to see everything, bring all the equipment. I brought him all my receipt. I would save all the invoices of all the sales I made, all the contracts, my bank statements, right? So everything was real. And he cut me a check right there, 15 grand, and I left. Like, looking back, it's not a lot of money, but just the proof of concept that I was able to do that and make money out of thin air with no skills and then sell the business for a lump sum, I was like, I was on fire. I felt like a god, right? I was like a super saiyan.
I don't think people understand how hard it is to sell a business, especially one that's like small and like just is what you're just describing. Like when you're going to go sell a business, you're going to sell assets and you're going to sell all these types of things. It's hard to sell a business. It's harder to sell a business than it is a house 100,000%, right? So that's
Mhm.
I hear where you're coming from on that one, JR. That definitely was probably like proof of concept. So now you're like manifesting all these things that are starting to happen. So what happens next?
So I was like, okay, so like now we got to turn into big boys. Like I'm tired of like the little jobs. Like, hey, we came this far, let's keep going. And so I started advertising landscaping, but like actual landscaping. If you don't know, like a lot of people think landscaping is lawn maintenance. They're two different things. So landscaping is actually design and constructions of lawns. Like so, like designing a design and with materials. So some people like rock, some people like mulch, some people like granite, some people like trees planted. All you could do so many designs. Flagstone, all sorts of things. It gets very expensive, and so we started advertising this. And like again, I didn't know how to do any of this, so it was all learning, and then trees as well. So then we started doing that. Started selling big jobs, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, big jobs, like 100 pallets of grass. 18 wheelers coming and dumping rocks and mulch and like big jobs. We figured
Busting your
it out.
ass too.
Huh?
Busting your ass. You're
Oh,
busting
busted
your
ass.
ass.
Oh, for sure, man. But I liked it actually. It was
Yeah.
fun to me. It was fun.
Yeah.
Like I still like it to this day, honestly.
I'm
And
right there with you, dude. I literally have planted every tree in my yard at 11 acres, hand dug them. People are like, hey, I got an auger. I'm like, no, this is my thing. So I'm with you 100% on the landscaping thing.
yeah, it's just like a satisfaction, right? Like of completing something with your hands as a man, I
It's
think.
it's a little bit of that and the peace of mind. Like if you plant a tree and it grows and it becomes a big tree, it's like you did that, right? Like you were the reason that tree grew. You
Yeah,
cut that grass, that 11 acres. It's like you did that. You could see the instinct. You can kind of just chill out when you're cutting a lawn. It's not stressful. It's freaking,
yeah,
whatever. So
yeah.
I,
No,
I
that's so.
totally.
I've never planted a tree, so but that sounds cool. I want to do that now. Um, I mean, that
I'll
would
give
have,
you a quick tip on that. So Etsy, believe it or not, like so I bought this acreage out here in Kansas City, and so I'm like kind of like you. I'm like my grandfather was a landscaper growing up. That's who my son is named after him. He was like my idol. He worked 6 days a week all the time, and so I grew up learning how to landscape with him. And so I was like, you know what? I am going to find all these trees and plant them. Well, Etsy sells seedlings of trees. Like all these people around the country are like cloning their own trees. So you can buy like these trees off Etsy for super cheap. You don't have to go to the, and they'll ship you like whatever kind of tree you want. So it's pretty cool. If you ever
What,
just decide,
like little seed?
no, like you could buy seeds, you can buy seedlings, you could buy like bigger trees. Like
Uh-huh.
I got sequoias from like the redwood forest. I've got all like cherry trees, like everything. I'm just throwing it in. I'm teaching my kids. I'm like, hey, I don't know how much is going to survive, but I'm going to plant a hell of it. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it's cool. So okay. So how did you get into real estate? When did that journey begin?
Okay, yeah. So after the landscaping, the trees, and I'll get to because it's like a progression, right? Because I never
Right.
really planned on wholesaling or real estate at all. I wanted to do construction, so I kind of fell into this real estate. So just to like make it fast forward, like we sold the landscaping business, right? It was pretty crazy. It was actually to a worker that worked with me. He was from Mexico, didn't even know English, and I had the company for sale for 50 grand on Craigslist, and then I also had a hiring ad, right? And he came in, he was interested in the for sale ad, but came in on the hiring ad, and he told me just to see if I was the real deal and it wasn't a scam because that was a lot of money, right? And I taught him how to do everything, right? So when he bought it, he could literally just take the wheel. A very smart dude. And he was a wolf. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing because I never would have saw it coming. And
Right.
smart guy. And so
Yeah.
one day he came up to me and he goes, "Hey man, I want to buy your business." And I just laughed at him like, "Ricky, like shut up, like you don't have money to buy the business." And he's like, "No," and he told me the story. Like I came in on your hiring ad, I knew it was for sale. I was like, "Really?" I go, I still didn't believe him. He's like, "Yeah, I saw." Out of all things, he sold a Chinese restaurant or something. I was like, "Okay, whatever, Ricky, whatever." So he comes to the we always met at my house for coffee before we leave for the work, and he comes and we're all there drinking our coffee, and he comes with a brown bag and he just dumps it on the table, and it's just rolled up currency, 20s, 10s, 50s, hundreds, and we're all just like, what the fuck is going on right now? And so I put it all back in the bag, and I go count it, and I go, all right. I open the safe. Here's all the titles to the truck. Here's all the phone numbers, the passwords to the website. It's all yours. He literally just took everything, left like in a sunset. He still works that business to this day. And
That's
then,
awesome.
so then I'll make it quick. I went into construction. I go, now we're gonna start learning how to build. I learned how to remodel houses top to bottom. I had my own crew, and I was doing it for a while. If you go to my Instagram, Jared Clutch, you can scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see me framing and stuff. And and then I was working. I started working for all the investors, and I was like, okay, I'm about ready. I got some money now. I want to start flipping before I get into construction. And I met this
Ah,
really young guy. He was like my age at the time. We're like 26, 27, and he goes, "Hey man, this is your company?" He's like, "You look real young to be doing like it was $100,000 remodel in the historic district of San Antonio. I was doing a
right.
big addition, everything. Gutted a little crack house that I completely gutted, turned into like a $400,000 house." And he was like, "This crazy, like the prices you're giving me, I haven't seen nobody like this. Is all your company?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." I go, "Man, but like you're my age, bro. You're the one making all this money. You're the one. How are you
Yeah.
doing this?" And
Yeah. Right.
he goes, "Have you ever heard of private money?" And I was like, "What? No. What is private money?" He's like, "I'm not using any of my money to do this." I was like, "What? Like that would have saved me 8 years of life. Like, what are you talking about? Hard? Like what? I've been grinding, busting my ass, and all you know is this one simple concept that like let you just fast forward all that." He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I didn't use any of my own money." And I was like, "Well, how'd you find the house?" He's like, "You know what wholesaling is?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Bro, so I get houses for like half off, and then I get people to lend me the money to." And I'm like, I was just mind blown. I was like, "What?"
Right. Yeah. You're like,
And
what is
so
this? Yeah.
so ever since I learned that, that was my last project, and I was like, I started getting obsessed with what is this, and that's how I got into real estate. And then it's been on since then.
So tell me about your current business right now. What do you guys do primarily? You're based out of San Antonio. You
Mhm.
guys wholesale, you flip. How does the business look?
So primarily everything runs off of Offer Pros. So that's my wholesaling company here in San Antonio. So we
Okay.
have an office here. We have 5 sales agents, 5 acquisition agents, a transaction coordinator slash office manager, and then we have a full time videographer. And so we basically just wholesale all day, and we close anywhere on the low end 10 deals a month. Just in San Antonio, we spend nothing on marketing. We mostly work with realtors, MLS, wholesalers off of the brand. We do a lot of branding in the city, and then So we do that, and then the high end will close 15 to 20 a month. We're trying to get to 30, and just San
Right.
Antonio, one market, and we don't do any other markets. And that's mostly my business. And then I take that money and I invest in real estate. So whether it's rentals or Airbnbs or flips, buying land, I just invest it into. I put that money into real estate, and then we do a lot of social media. So podcasts, blogs. I don't know what direction I'm going there yet. I just know I like to do it, but I haven't monetized it
I
direct.
think you know. I think you know exactly which direction you're going. I think the wolf in sheep's clothing is. You know what I mean? Like here's what I'm going to say. Like everything that you've touched, you've flipped into a bigger thing. So it's to me, it's like, what's the next thing? You know what I mean? Because there's going to be something, and you know what it is. You're just not sure what it is. Kind of like you have it in your back of your mind about something, but you haven't launched it yet. But I'm pretty sure you know the power of it because that's why we're here today. And same thing. So to kind of tell you my story a little bit, I wasn't going to do social media. I hated social media. And then a guy who was about your age at the time, you probably know him, Pineda. I was selling him all my stuff, all my crap, because I've been an aggressive investor since 2009. Aggressive, okay, and so I haven't stopped buying property since 2009. So I see this guy, and then he shows me under the hood. Whenever everybody shows me what's really going on, they don't hide like the stuff. I always say, "You're showing me underneath the hood. I appreciate it." So he showed me. He's like, "Hey, man, this is what we're doing on the." I was like, "Well, how much are you making on YouTube?" And he's like, "Not really any money on YouTube, but he's like, this is our profit center's education." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, "Well, I know way more about real estate than you do." It's like I'm thinking and like, okay, but you know way more about social media than I do. So that took me a long time to figure out, and that was my journey. And I'm sure like you're gonna. It sounds like you're an infectious type of goo. You got a really cool personality, Jr. It sounds like you're probably gonna get into the coaching space if I was to guess.
I don't know yet, man. I just okay. I know. Okay, so I know that the education space is a lot of money. Not only is a lot of money, but it's very scalable. I like the world of digital assets, right? I like how you can make one product and sell it a billion times, right? I like all that, but I don't know. I like so for now. I like educating my community. So like the reason I got into social media because I was a low key guy and I don't like people knowing my business. It's like a in the
Amen.
Hispanic community, there's like a lot of that. I don't know what it is. Like we grew up like that. Like we don't want to show our business because we're scared people are gonna like hate on us and put us like, in our
It's
community.
true. It's a real truth, right? They are going to hate on you, and they are going to freaking judge you and say, "I don't like that guy anymore. He's got money, and he's not the same guy I knew that was cutting my lawn. Now he's got a
Oh
Ferrari or
yeah,
whatever."
100%. So
Right?
I wasn't gonna do it, and so the reason I did it was I met Max Maxwell. I know you know. I'm sure you know who Max Maxwell is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I went to one of his events in Dallas. It was 1,000 people. I was just getting started. I was making good fees, and I talked to him, and I gave him some. We're talking about some stuff that I knew that I don't. I'm not gonna put it on here. That he wanted to know more about, and he was interested, and so we connected. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to come to Winston Salem, something like that, North Carolina?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." So he flew me first class over there, so we can talk about this. Put me in a like luxury suite in downtown, and it was like my dream because I used to I because like I would watch all his vlogs, and I was like, I love this guy's vlogs, and so when I met him and he flew me over there, it was like a dream come true. I was like, this is so cool. So I was hanging with him in his freaking warehouse that he had that was like a YouTube studio, a podcast. I was just hanging with him all weekend, talking about this stuff that he wanted to know that I knew of, and then well, I remember specifically to this day because this is when it all happened. We were eating barbecue at a little barbecue joint over there, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, JR, so tell me, why aren't you doing content?" And I was just like, "Oh no, man, that's not for me." I was like, "That's just not my style, man. Like I'm low key. I like to get my mine and just take care of my family. I don't need all that shine, right? I don't need all that." And he goes,
Right.
"Well, you're being selfish." And I was like, "Selfish? Like what? What do you mean?" And he's like, "Okay, well, you met me on my show. There was 1,000 people." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "But what did you notice about the people?" It was your people. He's like, "That's right. I'm educating all my community on real estate investing. I'm impacting all these people." and I'm somebody they look up to, and he's like, there's not many people. He's told me, like, I don't see anybody in this space that looks like you, because the people that are gonna follow you are gonna be the people that look like you, and there's not
Right.
many people that look like you in this space. And I was just like, man, that's pretty cool. And it just stuck. It didn't want to leave my head, and all the whole way back, I was just thinking about it. I was just like, damn,
Well, I'm really mad at Maxwell right now
why is that?
because yeah, I'm gonna tell you. So we talked about that lawn mowing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know Max. I don't know him like on a personal level or anything like that, but he happened to be building his house at the same time I was building mine, and he's an influencer. I'm an influencer. He had more clout at that point in time. Well, he posted that he bought this Altaz lawnmower, and I'm like, well, this guy does this research. He's way smarter than me about like technical stuff. Like, I'm like, he definitely did his research. I'm going to go with that one. It's the worst freaking lawnmower I could have ever bought. It was the most expensive. I remember I tagged him in it, and he posted it on his story, and I was like, well, that's cool. But that's about the best thing I got from that. Like, because it's literally, since lawn mowing, it has tracks, and so it just tears up. It's a zero turn, but you have to like do these wide turns, because if you do a turn, it just freaking eats the whole lawn. And I'm like, why the hell did I buy this thing? But yeah, thanks, Max. So if you're listening right now,
Yeah. What'd you get
so
now?
that's what I still have the same one. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna freaking I have no choice. I'm not gonna take a freaking $20,000 loss. I'll just go roll slow. It's a good mower. It's just one of those things you got to do wide turns to freaking do your zero turn. So
Well,
the more
I don't think I would consider myself like a lawn expert. I would just get the Toro, the cheapest one, because I mean we
I,
don't have big yards in San Antonio. They're little quarter acre is a big lot here, so you don't need a ride in one over here.
well, this is my big piece of advice. Don't take lawnmower advice from a real estate guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go.
So
You knew
that's cool.
better.
So he brought you. What's up with that guy lately? He moved to Macau, or where did he move? He moved out of the country, right?
I'm not sure, like Dubai or something. I'm something like
Yeah, Dubai. That is crazy. His journey is interesting too, but yours is way more interesting. Like than anybody I've ever heard. Like the fact that you're just moving from job to job to success. That's always been my barometer, JR, for who is successful, because anybody can stay in the same lane, and like you could stay and have scaled your lawn mowing business and probably done, whatever, been super successful at that. You could have then gone into the hardscape business that you said you started, and then been super successful at that. You could have then gone into the construction business and stayed there. But to parlay one success into another makes you an entrepreneur,
that.
because like you're never satisfied. You're continuing to try to make things better. It sounds like you're working on something else. It sounds like your wholesaling business is kicking ass right now. So what is next for JR?
I mean, I don't know. I really like. So we're just getting into this the events space. So I'm starting to throw events in San Antonio. I'm
Tell
getting
me
my
about
feet
that.
wet. I'm seeing how it is. I'm seeing if we can attract people. The first one was a success. We packed the house. It was fun. I liked it. But I think I don't really want to scale the wholesaling too much. It's a headache. I think
At
where I'm
least you're honest. At least you're honest, dude. At least you're honest. A
well,
lot
I
of people
mean,
wouldn't say that.
I mean, if I can get to 30 deals closed a month in San Antonio, that'd be like I don't want to scale it too much more than that. Like, what's the purpose? Like, there's other things to conquer, like that are much easier to scale, right?
For sure,
Um,
100%.
so I think my thing would be, I really, I think the untouched mind for me would be probably something in the content space. I think that's where I can grow the fastest and help the most people. Just
So how have you dialed in? How have you learned? What have you learned about social media? I know it's for me. It's been the last 3 years. It's just been complete education. What have you learned?
I'm not, man. I haven't really. I've learned who I am. I've learned. Like, I'm not really a technical guy. I'm more of just a doer. Like, I'm gonna just go do it and post it, do it and post it. And I kind of just learn what works and what doesn't. I still haven't got YouTube down. My YouTube, I've been doing it for 3 years, and I've yet to pop on that. But my Instagram and TikTok have taken off. sometimes.
Yeah, YouTube is super tough, man. I've been that is the one I like. I grind. I had one video go, and everything else has just been slow.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really like paid attention and focused on it like to try to make it successful. I've mostly just
Yeah,
hired videographers. Let's make content and push it out. I really have not had a goal for it. I just know that let's just document this and start building this brand. So by the time I'm ready, I have a platform. So like I haven't. There is no goal to it yet. I have no KPIs on it. I have no structure to it. It's literally like I have a videographer full time. Let's record long form, short form, and get it out, and
yeah.
slowly build a fan base or like some sort of base, so that when I am ready to focus on it, we already have something to go off of. So that's kind of the
Tu habla español?
yeah. Tex-Mex is different down here.
You should throw your content in Spanish too, man. I
that's
seen a lot
definitely
of
that's definitely on the plans. Yeah.
yeah, like one of the guys who I interviewed very early in my podcast, who I really like a lot, Jose Luis Morales. He does a lot of his stuff. He's out of California, and he does it all. He does the same video, and he does it in English and in Spanish. And the Spanish ones, I'm like, God, if I could just speak Spanish, a little bit better. Like the Spanish ones just take off, bro.
Really?
Like, oh, like just take a look at his TikTok or his YouTube or anything like that. Anything, and same thing with Tat Lindano, who's got a really good following. When she does her stuff in Espanol, I would say double down on that. That's really going to attract your crowd, right? Like, and I'll say that's my same crowd. That's the people who a lot of the people who have been through my program are Spanish speaking. I put my book out in Espanol. I've tried to do as many things as I can in Espanol without actually learning how to speak it yet, which is a goal of mine. But obviously, I got to put the work in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
Sure. I
I think
always
that
say I
that's
need to get more fluent. Like I speak, so down here it's like a Tex-Mex. It's like a mix of
yeah.
English and Spanish. So if I really do that, I got to get 100% fluent.
I don't know. I think you'll attract your people, right? Like you'll attract the people
Yeah.
who speak that language,
Oh, for sure.
and
Yeah.
and you know, it sounds like you've got a really compelling story. So let's go back to the one thing that you mentioned, and then I'll kind of ask a few more questions before we wrap things up. But like as you're becoming successful, and you said that you always wanted to build mansions, do you have any goals on the horizon to build your own mansion?
That's funny that you say that. I never really thought about that. That's pretty cool. Um, yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. So I have my plans right there to build my first house next year. I have. I always buy lots. I always buy lots. So I have lots, and I have plans to start building my first one. But development is definitely on the near future for sure. That's gonna be my last. That's gonna be like the last leg, because development is like that's where the big money's at, and that's where the big boys play, and that's a never ending. You will never conquer that. That's the biggest game you can play in real estate.
Absolutely, 1000%. Because you're not only there's so many ways you can go. You can partner with cities. You could be a football developer building stadiums. You know, you could build basketball stadiums for the Spurs if you wanted to. Um,
We're gonna build one for Victor, man. He's you know.
yeah, listen, dude. Spurs for years were like really super fun to watch. Just like Tony and freaking David Robinson and all. You just, I mean, like every year is like it was a little annoying, but it's like it was like
You have
the
to beat the Lakers.
well, it was just it was like the Patriots. Everybody got sick and tired of seeing them win all the time, and the Spurs was the same type of thing. They were so damn good. Greg Popovich was such a good coach, and you guys had Tony, and you guys had what's his name from the Islands.
Oh,
What's
Duncan.
that?
Duncan.
Yeah, Tim Duncan, and then you had Manu Ginobili. You had just so many people that just kept like the minute you guys lost somebody, you got somebody better, and I'm like, geez Louise. And listen, I'm from Seattle originally, so I was a Seattle Supersonics fan, and then Howard Schultz, the owner of Starbucks, sold us out. So I'm a big basketball fan. In fact, one of my dreams is to own my own basketball team someday. Hopefully, it happens. So
Gee, that'd be amazing.
yeah, man.
Absolutely, I love basketball.
So the mansion is next. So tell me about it.
No,
What are you building?
it's not next. No, so I'm building my first my first new construction. It's a easy 1,200 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It's my first get my feet wet. Learn about first I got to figure out how to build a house, right? That'll come after mastery, right? That'll be the last step to build a mansion, right? I'd have to build a few houses before I can go to that, right?
Yeah, that's what I built like 4 houses before I built my big one.
Oh yeah,
And yeah,
I would
and
love to. I'm an apartment guy. I've owned a lot of houses, and lived in a lot of houses, but right now I'm living like a single bachelor condo, style. I like the city view right now, but I'm sure once I settle down, I'll have to go back to a house. But for now, I'm enjoying my you know.
and listen, there's something to be said, and I'll tell you this: I was a young guy once, and I always tell everybody, enjoy your single young life because you don't get to do it again. Like you don't get to do that part again. Like
Mm,
there's not a lot of things that you get to do again, but like being young and single and having a good time, that's something that you're probably not going to do often. So live it up, dude.
I'm
Like you
I'm
know,
here. I'm here.
yeah.
um, I have a question for you though. So, like, you specifically, I see that YouTube plaque on your wall. You specifically are going, like, you have targets, right? You have goals for social media and for your education, right? That
Yes.
compared to your real estate business, what do you like more, and why?
Okay, great question. And so I love real estate. Like I enjoy all facets, development. Like it's how I get my artistic expression. So like the building I'm in right now, it's a 96,000 square foot building. It's like my bragging rights. It's 10 stories or 11 stories downtown Kansas City, 10th and Main. We had our last mastermind here. I really love that. Education, I will tell you, selfishly, I did it because I believed I could make a lot of money doing it, and I'm good at teaching people how to invest in real estate. I didn't realize how many people's story would impact me. And so as I'm onboarding students and hearing them be so like unselfish about their goals and why they want to take their family or their mother or their daughter or whatever they were, I was like, holy crap. And then seeing these guys get their first win, like, I've had several students make $80,000 in their first flip. And like knowing that I'm the reason that happened is very, very satisfying. So I would tell you it's probably right down the middle right now. I'd really like to scale my education because I believe I can help a lot of people. I think, this is something I say, not to brag, but I think I'm probably one of the best guys out there in terms of knowledge base. You know what I mean? Like I've done everything besides, I haven't done syndication too much, but I've done everything: tax sales, partial ownerships, wholesales, every single thing. Every single thing that you could think of with real estate. I would challenge pretty much anybody on the internet to go back to back with me. Like I'm very confident in that. The education space, I'm still learning. So I'm still building it out. I don't know it well enough. I'm still leaning into guys like that I mentioned before, other people who are experts and they can tell me which way to go. But I do believe, like you mentioned earlier, that that's a much larger, more scalable business that I can impact a lot more lives in. And truthfully, it'll be easier to scale than it is to continue to build my real estate portfolio. Which with the social thing, as you know, not all of your students and not all the people who sign up for your program are going to actually do it. This is one thing that I didn't realize. Like I thought, well, everybody's like me. They're going to buy the program. They're going to go take action just like JR did, and they're going to do it. The reality is a lot of people, they want to be a part of the community. They want to be a part of the thing, but they don't want to actually take the action. So that means that they may want to invest in a fund. They may want to invest in a project that you have. And so I believe that's going to allow us to do a lot more bigger development projects as things come down the pipe.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool. So you like it? It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's everything is hard work, right? I can tell you this. I hated doing masterminds. So like what you're talking about, the first one, I didn't have a following, so we had like all of our students came. It was 12 people. That was a really actually good event. Then and I charged my students I think $1,200 to be there. And then our second one we did. I was like reinventing the wheel. I'm like, we need to do it where I'm from, Vegas. It'll be way better. Everybody wants to come to Vegas, and that was really a crappy event. Like we had more people, but it wasn't really that. Like I didn't feel that event. Me having my last event in my building, like in my hometown that I just moved to from Vegas, with with our education company rolling now, where I have students who have been through the program that are now part of it. Like one of my main students played Major League Baseball for the Mariners, the Athletics, and now he's like the head of like my program. He's onboarding, he's in my sales. So as my students start to become a part of my program, it gets better. Right? If it's just me, it's not that cool. When the students are kind of coming in and they're being a part of it and it's becoming that culture and that community, that's what's made it really great. And now I'm looking forward to my next mastermind, which I was really not looking forward to doing any of them. So now I am looking forward to it.
All that sounds good to me. And
Yeah,
you own the building that you're in?
yeah, man. Take a look at it. It's 1044 Main. If you want to Google it right now,
What is
I'm
it?
really
10?
1044 Main Street, Kansas City, Missouri. So get your Google Earth up there or whatever you're looking at, and drop your little yellow guy, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I like that." Now, full disclosure, I'm losing about $30,000 a month right now on it because it does not cash flow. But
Wow.
I've bought enough properties where that I knew that I was going to be bleeding for probably a considerable amount of time until I get it fully occupied.
Dang, so you bought a downtown building.
Yeah,
Holy crap. Is it this it's this there's like a bank on the in it at
yeah.
the
I bought it from a bank, Bank of Oklahoma. That's who owned it before me.
Wow, that is awesome. How much did you pay
Yeah,
for that?
5.2 million.
That sounds like a deal.
It's a hell of a deal, man. I only buy deals.
What
Okay.
do you think it's worth? 10?
I think no filled up. I think it's worth 20,
Oh shit. Are you gonna flip?
maybe 30, maybe 30, between
Wow.
20 and 30. Yeah,
You're gonna flip it?
probably not.
Just cash flow it?
Yeah, I think this will be like one of those legacy assets. Like I
Yep.
don't see.
Dude, you bought a
Yeah,
building in the downtown. That's fucking
I
awesome.
got another cool one around the corner, not as big. 409 Armor. My goal is there's another building that I'm working on that I will be probably announcing. The Federal Reserve Building of Kansas City. I've been talking to the owner of that building as well. That'll be something that I'll probably put together a syndication fund type of deal with. But yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff that I like to do, and this is how I get my artistic side on. Like for me, it was super cool because my first mastermind, Jr. I brought all of my students who came. I think there was a total of 18 people that came to the program.
Hmm.
12 of them were students. And I took them in front of this building and I said, I got denied on the loan 7 times so far. I said, hopefully the next time we do our mastermind in KC, I'll own it. I got denied 10 times. I got the loan done. And yeah, we're in it now.
That's awesome, man. Shoot, I would love to own a downtown building in your city.
You will. You absolutely will. You're 13 years younger than me, dude. You're gonna get it, dude. You're way ahead of me when I started. So there's
Really
absolutely you will.
crazy, man. That's awesome. Thanks for the
Yeah.
inspiration. I
Yeah,
didn't. That
man.
wasn't
No.
even a dream of mine, but now it might be.
Well, like here's the deal. Like there's something to be said. Like, that's why I always tell people because if I say, hey, I own the building, but it doesn't cash flow, it's a better thing than saying I own the building. I own the building, right? Like tell the negative too, right? Tell the whole story. Like
Yeah,
no, it doesn't cash flow, right? But here's the potential, right?
yeah. What is the
And
potential?
oh man, it's big. We got 7,200 square foot floor plates. So if you just take $20 times 96,000 square feet, less expenses, you can do it. It should cash flow over 6 figures a month, on one investment. We only have a 50% mortgage on it, so we put $2.6 million down, and it's a good solid asset in the best place in Kansas City to have a building.
And you're not paying any taxes for a while.
Yeah, well,
In
that's
this
been my
end,
goal. Yeah, that's been my goal for a while. Yeah, we cost segregate the shit out of everything, right? You
that's
know,
awesome. Congrats,
yeah.
man. Shoot, that's a
Thank you. Yeah, we've done it. We've done a couple cool projects. That's why we moved out to Kansas City. I literally moved out to Kansas City, Jr. because of the real estate opportunities. I was in Vegas doing fine, competing with all those guys, crushing them. I always said like, hey, if you guys are going up against me, you're going to lose. That's cool. And then it was time for a different journey. The journey led me to Kansas City. I'm building my house actually in Naples right now too. And so I told my wife, I said, we'll stop over here, see what happens. And it's been good for us. So
There you go. That sounds awesome,
yeah.
man. That sounds cool as shit.
Yeah, it's listen, if you love doing what you're doing, right? Like I can tell with you love doing it. You're right before the call, you're hollering, you're trying to get the deal in. Like it's fun, right? Like closing business and making money is fun because you know that you can do stuff with it. Being broke and not being able to do shit, you can't affect anybody's life in a good way. So, JR, before we wrap it up, man, tell me like if somebody is listening right now and maybe they're you like 8 years ago when you were struggling to get by or however long that was exactly, and they're trying to figure out what their next step is. What words of encouragement would you say to that person?
Man, I would say that Man, those times right there are the true testament. They're the true testing powers of your character right there. So, like, really lean into the situation and figure out, who you are, because I know in those moments that's where everybody's gonna fail. If you get stronger, smarter in these moments, then when times are good, you're gonna completely kill everybody. Because these times when you're struggling, I wish I would have thought like this back then though. Like, that is where I was made, when I didn't have the answers, when I didn't have, when I found out who I was as a man. That's so now that things are going well, like, nobody's got nothing on me right now. Like, you know what I mean? That's the way I feel inside, because of that time right there. If I had it
Yeah.
easy, if I had it easy on the way up and I was at this point right now, anything could probably shake me, because I've just never experienced the test, the pain, the suffering, who I was. So like right now, I just feel like, man, like it's easy, like it's butter right now. You know what I mean? Because when I was back there, and like I literally remember at some points, like just living on faith, right? Literally just living on faith, like having
Yeah.
$20, a $20 bill, and having to like put some in the gas tank for the mower, some for the truck to keep me going, and then for some water, and be like, someone's got to say yes today, like, because I ain't got nothing left, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I remember those type of times, like little tears rolling down, but I was like, man, you ain't no bitch, let's go get a sale, let's make 50. Okay, somebody said yes, I made another 50 for the day. I made another 50. Like, I remember those type of times, and like just testing my character of like, how bad do you really want it? Because I could have just gave up and got a job, or asked mom to whatever, you know what I mean? But I just like that built my character as a man, as an entrepreneur, like, and just tested my metal, you know what I mean? So now when things are going good, when things get shaky, like I don't get rocked much. I don't get rocked.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, take that in and identify with your soul, like, dude, like that's who you are right there. However you
Yeah.
however however you however you however you adjust to that situation is what's going to make you in the future. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but like,
I completely understand and think it makes a lot of sense, especially for people like, yeah, like you're saying, is like that is part of your process, is the suffering, right? I remember, like I always talk to my guys about this, like my first flip, like I did all the work. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had my uncle telling me it was terrible. I hated it. It was the worst thing in the world. I had paint all over my head, all over everything. And I'm like, but I wouldn't change it, right? Like, because I was like, I'm never doing that again. But like, it's part of the process. So I totally get it, man. JR, for people who want to follow your journey, who want to follow what's going on with you, how do they get a hold of you?
so you can reach me on Instagram, TikTok at JR Clutch. I got a YouTube, JR Clutch. We're gonna be dropping more podcasts, more vlogs here shortly. But mostly I'm always on Instagram. So JR Clutch on Instagram, and I respond to mostly all my DMs. So that's where you could reach me.
So JR Clutch at Instagram or JR Clutch on YouTube, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you sharing your story. I'm looking forward to seeing you around. I'm sure we'll see you at a mastermind. It looks like you're killing the game. I've never been to San Antonio. I've been dying for a reason to get there. It's like one of the places like I'm like, I need to go to San Antonio.
Yeah, you gotta come, man. I get the hookup on courtside seats.
Ooh, do you really? That might be the reason to go. I'm a sports freaking nut. So I definitely like going to my football games. You guys don't have a football team out there in San Antonio, though,
No,
do you?
we got the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is them.
That's all we got, man. I got to stick with my boys. That's all we got.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, guys. We'll talk to you in the next one. Peace. Did you ever want to invest in real estate? Did you ever want to live the life of your dreams? Did you want financial freedom? We have a free Facebook group, the Millionaire Mentorship Facebook group for real estate investing. Make sure you join. The link is in the description. If you want to schedule a free call with me and my team and you actually want to start, I would suggest you do so. We have helped hundreds of people change their lives, and all they had to do was get started. They booked a call with me and my team, and they got the ball rolling. And I'm so confident that if you don't get your first or next investment property within the first 90 days, you don't pay, and I'll give you $1,000 cash. That's how confident I am. Obviously, you got to take action. You can't just do nothing and expect that to happen, but that's life. Life's all about taking action. Make sure you give this podcast a 5-star review, share it with a friend, and take action.